Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to be making a very lemony cake, or a most lemony cake I may call it. This is going to have lemon zest, lemon juice and lemon extract in it, and it's a sort of pound cake type thing, but I'm going to, and you can do it in a 2-pound loaf tin like this, which you would grease and line the bottom at least, or you can do it as I'm going to in my 6-cup bundt tin, and it will work just as well in there. And again, I have greased that and floured it, so that's ready for the batter when it's made. So this is actually quite a simple recipe, but it takes a little while because you have to mix all the ingredients, and I'm doing it in my stand mixer. You could do it with a hand mixer, you can do it by hand, but it's more work. So I've started off, as I said, by greasing and flouring my bundt tin. Do the same with the loaf tin, and I have my oven preheating at 165 Celsius, that's 325 Fahrenheit. So I go on to the ingredients. And for the ingredients, I have 170 grams of plain flour. That's 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup. I have 135 grams, half a cup plus 1.5 tablespoons of unsalted butter, which is softened. Then I have 300 grams, 1.5 cups of caster sugar. I have 25 grams of ground almonds, which is 1/4 cup. I have half a teaspoon of salt, 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons of lemon extract. If you don't have that, you can leave it out. Maybe add the zest of 1 extra lemon or something, but you can leave that out. I have the zest from 1 lemon. I have 1.5 tablespoons of lemon juice. Then I have 30 grams, which is about 2 tablespoons of an unflavoured oil. I have 60 millilitres, 1/4 cup of milk, and I have 3 medium eggs, which would be large in the USA, and into that I have put 1 medium egg yolk as well, an extra one, and that again would be large in the USA. So that's all the ingredients, and the first thing we're going to do is to cream the butter and the sugar until it is pale and very fluffy, and that's going to take a few minutes to do in the stand mixer. So I put the sugar in, and then the butter. And I'm going to do this with the whisk attachment, and I will use the blender. The paddle attachment later, but I'll start off with the whisk attachment. And as I say, I will whisk this until it's light and fluffy. Put the remaining bit of sugar in. So that's nice and fluffy now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the lemon juice and the oil and the lemon zest and the lemon extract. I'm just going to mix those together first of all. And I'm going to put that into the butter mixture and put the lemon zest in with it. And I'm going to mix that again until it's all fully combined. So that liquid is now mixed in, and what I'm going to do next is simply add the flour, the ground almonds, the salt and the baking powder together. And you could sift these to mix them, but I'm going to mix them together just with a whisk like this. And I'm doing it now, although we need it in a minute, because I want to use this whisk to whisk the eggs as well. So I'll put that to one side, and I'm going to put my eggs into the bowl that had the sugar, and I'm simply going to whisk those until they're nice and smooth. So with the eggs whisked together, I'm going to add that into the butter mixture gradually, whisking it on a low speed all the time until it's fully combined. So with the eggs mixed in, the final thing to do is to mix the flour and the milk in as well. So I'm going to add in the flour and the milk, and the flour goes in 3 additions. So a third of the flour goes in, half of the milk, then a third of the flour, then half of the milk, then a third of the flour. And I'm just going to mix this gently to get it incorporated. So I'll mix the flour and then I'll add half the milk and mix that. So that's fairly well mixed in, but I'm going to scrape the bottom of the bowl and the sides just to make sure everything gets mixed in. So I'll scrape the side of the bowl to incorporate that flour and scrape right down to the bottom, turning it over to make sure that there's no flour on the bottom that hasn't been incorporated. And then I'm simply going to put that into my prepared tin. And with that in the tin, I need to spread that to level it off all the way around. And with that spread fairly evenly, I think as it goes into the oven it will level off, because the mixture will warm up and then spread and try to spread, so it will level off. So I'm going to put that into the oven and I'm going to bake it for between 45 and 50 minutes. Then I'll test it with a skewer, and if it comes out clean, I'll take it out of the oven and allow it to cool down. I'll leave it in the tin for 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'll tip it out onto a wire rack and allow it to cool down, and then I'll come back and show you the results. I baked the most lemony lemon cake for 58 minutes. I thought 45 to 50 minutes would be enough, but when I tested it with a skewer, it was still wet inside. It had risen well and it was baking well, so I left it, and I checked it again just before the hour, so 58 minutes, and the skewer came out clean. So I took it out of the oven, allowed it to cool down for 10 minutes, then I tipped it out onto a wire rack. So this is what it looks like now, and I've just dusted a little bit of icing sugar on the top. You could make a lemon drizzle or a lemon icing and let it run down the sides if you wanted to, or you can serve it plain. But it looks quite nicely baked, I have to say. So I'll have a taste of this piece which I've cut. It is soft and light, and that lovely lemon flavour. And I did wonder whether perhaps it would be far too strong, but it isn't. It's a very nice lemon flavour, and it comes through very well. And as I said, this can be done in a bundt tin or in a 2-pound loaf tin. So you can do that. You can double the recipe and do it in a 12 cup bundt tin if you wanted to. But I think this is big enough for my purposes. So this, I think, would be very good as an alternative to Christmas cake again, rather like my last recipe. For those who prefer not to have that rich fruit cake for Christmas, this is a nice light cake that you could have. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on. That's up there, and I'll put that would take you to a link for this recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.